at that. Everything working and everything on time. Shout out Satya for the good juju. What's up, guys? Here we go. Troubled Mind starting now.
But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
I don't know whether rockets or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. They were too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0.
Doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Well, good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, taking a break from the longer mythology space here of the summer. We're going to get back to that on Thursday with the summer solstice, of course, because it hits this weekend, I believe Friday or Saturday. So we'll get back to that. There's a ton of news always kind of clunking out, or stories or ideas that I don't want to leave behind. And this one really kind of fits into the larger context of this conversation, just not directly. It's more of an indirect spot, which is cool. I'll take it. And hope everybody's well tonight. Thanks for hanging out. And okay, so here's the deal, right? We're going to start here. It's a wild one from Popular Mechanics, which has actually done a ton of really inspirational work over the years. If you remember way back in the day, the original proton pack from Ghostbusters was inspired by a Popular Mechanics article that Dan Aykroyd had read like in sometime in the late 70s or something. So anyway, you know, for all the wild, weird stuff we always talk about, Popular Mechanics really kind of fits into that spot very well for the weird things they do. But check this out. This is the headline of this one. This is where we start tonight because this is incredibly weird. And the plot thickens because doesn't the plot always thicken? Actually, I'm going to get that meme out. Speaking of plots thickening, it seems as if everything is always narratives, right? Let me pull that meme out. Yeah, it's every time I see that astronaut meme, I always think of this exact thing, like this exact thing. Hold on, let me get the thing. There it is. Okay. And then I'll drop it in the thing. We'll get it up here in a second. But okay. So here's the deal, right? Speaking of narratives, back to this. Hundreds of Civil War soldiers were destined to die. Then their wounds started glowing. That seems weird, right? That seems strange, beyond strange. Okay. Anyway, so I was looking into this, and wouldn't you know that it's not entirely accurate. I mean, okay, let's read the narrative because everything's narratives anyway, right? Let's read it straight from the write-up. Again, the Troubled Minds newsletter is very good. Check it out if you're interested in some historical stuff, the Battle of Shiloh. Here it goes. After the Battle of Shiloh in April of 1862, more than 16,000 wounded soldiers lay scattered across a boggy Tennessee landscape, soaking in rain and mud, waiting for medical help that was still days away. Yeah, not the best, right? It was one of the bloodiest engagements of the entire Civil War. Union forces had been driven back against the Tennessee River by a Confederate surprise attack, and though reinforcements arrived and the line held, the cost was staggering. The aftermath was a field of open wounds exposed to soil and water and the slow creep of infection. There was no sulfa, no antibiotics, no antiseptic protocol worth the name. If gangrene set in, you died. If it didn't, you might still die. The calculus was brutal and simple. And then, according to a story that everyone seems to know, something very strange happened. Some of the soldiers noticed that their wounds were glowing. A faint bluish-green luminescence visible in the dark of a rainy April night. Even stranger, the soldiers whose wounds glowed were more likely to survive. They healed faster with fewer infections than soldiers whose injuries did not produce the eerie light. The phenomenon became known as angel's glow because it truly did seem like the intervention of something beyond human understanding. The light appeared at the threshold of death and somehow pulled men back from it. Now, this is a story as old as time. Now, not necessarily the glowing lights, but certainly the idea of this angel light thing that kind of comes out of nowhere and saves the day, and very supernatural. And this is a new one. Like I said, shout out to Popular Mechanics there. I hadn't heard this before, and I've done a ton of reading on historical subjects and things just as part of this show. That's one of the great parts about this show is I get to kind of just to keep reading, keep doing homework, right? Like the history class never ends when you're doing Troubled Minds. And so I'm always reading about wild and weird things and different things that, that are brushing up my knowledge on just all manner of things. And this is one I just really had never heard of. And so I start reading about it and I'm like, wow, this is an incredible story. It turns out, okay, so this continues. I'm going to read a little bit more from it. And there will be a plot twist because there's always a plot twist, right? There's always a damn plot twist. Here we go. So the scientific explanation arrived 139 years later, and it came from a 17-year-old. In 2001, a kid named Bill Martin toured the Shiloh battlefield with his family and heard about Angel's Glow. Or did he? His mother, Phyllis Martin, happened to be a microbiologist at the USDA Agricultural Research Service, and her research involved a soil-dwelling bacterium named Photorhabdus luminescens, one of the only terrestrial bacteria that produces bioluminescence. Bill made the connection immediately and asked his mother if the glowing wounds could have been caused by the bacteria she studied. She told him to go and find out. Okay, and here's the thing. All the links are in the description if you want to check it out and read up on this stuff. I do encourage you to do so. And this is where the narrative starts to come in, okay? Because so as usual, we're creating our own mythologies in real time, okay? And this is exactly really part of this, the context of these conversations. Let me get that there. Because very specifically, we have a story being told. And as it's all narratives, right? Yeah, it's always been narratives, no matter what. And so that's the bizarre part about this, because when you start to look into where the information came from, look into some of the old sources and try and find where this information actually started, it appears to have began in 2001. And, good old Snopes, I wouldn't recommend anybody signing up for the Snopes membership or anything, but good old Snopes did a dig on this, and they tried to find an actual historical resource that matches up with this account. So the question becomes then, after this weirdness, not only is there the weirdness of the glowing wounds, of sort of the supernatural aspect of this, the people that have the glowing wounds end up living at a much higher rate than the people who do not, 16,000 wounded and dead and dying, just a horrific scene if you can imagine it. But beyond that, this here is actually maybe a phony story. And maybe it began in 2001 with the idea of the phosphorescence of this actual bacterium, the Photorhabdus luminescens. Don't make me say it 3 times fast. or maybe the world will end. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Okay, I'll stop. You get the point. Don't say it 3 times fast. Okay, so the bizarre part is the storytelling. The fact that we're looking at something and wondering if this actually began in 2001 as suggested by Snopes, or if this is an actual tale that goes back over 100 years to the Civil War itself. Okay? All right. Anyway, that's what's on my mind tonight. I got some questions to ask about this. And of course, what do you know about this? I don't know. It kind of fits into the lane of the primordial nature spirit, maybe. It fits into, we've talked about the Will-o'-the-Wisp recently. We've talked about, again, shout out Jen over there doing the great work with the lightning, the plasma, the entities. I mean, what's going on with this? There's a ton of stuff happening in this space that's weird, and it kind of all fits back to a lot of ideas we talk about on the show, including, of course, what I like to call that primordial nature spirit. Anyway, does this surprise you to read this story or to hear that this story might be entirely fabricated? Yeah, let's talk about it. 702-857-6939. We are taking your calls if you want to be part of the conversation. Simple as that. And we'll get weird, of course, as we go. And there's some other twists and turns as part of this tale, but there's the meat and potatoes. If you want the full rundown, read the Substack, of course, it's very good. And please go check that out. For now, we're going to take a quick break and get a word from our sponsor. In this case, it will be, let's see, which button can I find? It will be, oh my goodness, one of these ones. Be right back. More Troubled Minds in just one moment. Do not go anywhere. Feeling stressed? Overwhelmed? In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get swept away by our emotions. Take a breath and find your inner strength with the Stoic Minute.
You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength.
The ancient Stoic philosophers understood that we can't control everything in life, but we can control how we react.
The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts.
Focus on what you can influence. Cultivate a positive mindset and let go of what you can't change. Find your inner strength. Live each day with courage, wisdom, justice, and moderation. Embrace the Stoic virtues and find peace within. The Stoic Minute, brought to you by Jack in Oregon. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Let us continue, shall we? Okay, so now back to this. This is ScienceABC.com, and it says Angels Glow, which is the name of this phenomenon that happened in the Battle of Shiloh in the Civil War. What made these Civil War wounds glow? Now, if you go back to 2001, like I said, here's the weird part, and this is straight from the write-up again. Like I said, if you are interested in the ideas at large, go straight to the write-up because it's got everything there. The links are also in the description. Read up on a bunch of this stuff, and you'll be like, oh, that's where all this came from. Yes, indeed. Anyway, check this out. So together with his friend John Curtis, Martin worked backward through the environmental conditions at Shiloh and built a hypothesis that holds together beautifully. Bioluminescence lives in the gut of nematodes that parasitize insect larvae. The bacteria get released into a host, produce antibiotics that kill competing microorganisms, and glow while doing it. Seems fine, right? Normally, bioluminescence cannot survive at human body temperature. But on a cold, wet April night in Tennessee, with wounded men lying in the mud for days on end, hypothermia would have dropped their core temperatures low enough for the bacteria to colonize their wounds. The nematodes came through the soil. The bacteria followed. The glow was the visible signature of a chemical war being waged inside the wound, one in which the luminescent invaders were killing off the pathogens that would have otherwise caused gangrene and sepsis. The angels glow indeed. Then, when the soldiers were finally evacuated to field hospitals and warmed up, their immune systems cleared the bacteria on their own. The healing agent arrived, did its work, and disappeared as though it had never been there. Martin and Curtis won first place at the 2001 Intel International Science and Engineering Fair. Yes, indeed. And it's not the first time somebody's won an award based on a story of dubious origins. Maybe this entire thing was reverse engineered. Now, and the reason I bring that up and why it's important to this narrative is because everything's made up. Every damn thing it's all narratives. Again, back to the thing, right? Wait, it's all narratives? Always has been. And that's the point. So interestingly, if you go check the Snopes article, it's talking about how this is like, well, there's no real sources for this. It's the person that works at the Shiloh battlefield as a historical expert and guide is like, never heard of that. What is that? I mean, so look, so what the hell's going on here? And it doesn't matter. Now, meaning specifically this, we're talking about things that are mysterious. We're talking about that unseen realm. We're talking about things that glow when the lights go out. So does it really matter if this stuff's real? Or is it sort of an affront to truth that maybe, just maybe, this entire thing was concocted so they could win a science fair? Anyway, what do you know about this? And how cool is the story anyway? Yeah. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. I got some other good questions to ask of you as well. But this is a weird one. This starts weird. It gets weird. It continues weird. And what do you know about it? Have you ever heard of this until recently? Because I'm telling you, recently is when I heard about it. So, love to hear what you think. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Easy as that. Let's go to James in Michigan. What's up, Salcedo Paranormal? How you doing, brother? You're on Troubled Minds. How are you? Go right ahead.
I'm okay. This is a great topic here. This story as well. It makes me wonder on like the simplest, most basic level. Did someone who is, let's say, a debunker or super skeptical about all the things sort of anomalous, did someone either make up that story or really fully embrace it and just put it out there even though they didn't have any major sources? Because, again, not that I'm saying it's wrong or right, but because to a lot of people, this anomalous stuff cannot exist except or unless there is a scientific explanation for it.
Yeah, like that. In this case, so as I always like to say, you got to weave a little truth in there. It's like a troubled minds narrative, right? We talk about all manner of wild things, but once you weave a little bit of truth into the powder keg of the idea and the narrative itself, suddenly it seems to have some credence, some credibility. And in this case, maybe that's exactly what we're looking at. And if you scale that back into history and prehistory, maybe, just maybe, all the stories we've ever told are some level of nonsense, dare I suggest.
And it makes me think, I mean, you mentioned you hadn't heard of this. I've never heard of this either. And I, as you know, and some people here know, I look into a lot of reports of quote unquote, whatever they may be, ghosts, or again, lights or orbs or whatever. And of course, I mean, battlefields are some of the most commonly reported or thought to be haunted places because, again, of that, all that, that trauma, that tragedy. And I'd never heard of this before. So I find that fascinating as well. I'm happy to sit in for the show as well tonight.
Yeah, lots of things going on here. I appreciate you very much. You know him, you love him. Of course, that is SalcedoParanormal.com. James, the glue of the show, a dear friend, a paranormal expert, all the things. SalcedoParanormal.com, SALSIDO Paranormal.com. Go check him out. Goes buy his books. Go follow his Substack and his podcast and all the things, all the great work he's doing. Okay, so now this is the weird part. This becomes sort of this disappearing legend. It's sort of a retrocausal thing where we tell the story and then it kind of finds its way into the internet. And if you now go search Angel's Glow on the interwebs, you will find this story regurgitated over and over and over and over again. Okay. And now the wild part about that is the whole deal of me always talking about hyperreality fits into this exactly. Because now, without actually tracking down a source, an actual origin story of this historically, we're just making shit up. And in a hallucinating age of AI, this is going to become commonplace. This is going to become where we are. The state of where everything is going to be some level of hallucination because, as you know, if you've been messing with these large language models, they just don't get stuff right. They hallucinate. They fill in gaps. But this is sort of, again, going back to 2001, a retrocausal hallucination that concocted an entire story that may or may not be true at all. And yet, like I said, do yourself the favor and go search Angel's Glow on any search engine or even in a large language model, and you will get exactly this, the Battle of Shiloh. You will get the entire bit of the luminescence, all of it. And so you got to wonder how much of what we're doing today is, well, phony, right? Not just troubled minds. By the way, that's a good time for me to drop all the disclaimers. There's no claims here. There's no truth to be found in these ideas. It's just an exploration of what it means to be human. That's it. I'm not making claims about anything other than pointing out some inconsistencies sometimes, or looking at a larger narrative and even building our own narratives. So if you're here for truth, you're in the wrong place. This is just about ideas. This is about weird stuff and historical tidbits that may or may not even be historical. You get it? Okay, so speaking of the Spielberg thing, I'm going to throw this in there as well because we're kind of in the summer space of the Spielberg film. I was just going through looking at some of the reactions of, and we can add this too if you guys want to add a little bit more into that part of the conversation. Is some guy on YouTube? I don't know who he is. He's got like hundreds of thousands of followers. Dude's got like a mostly white beard. Like he looks older than me. Okay, no, not that I look like a spring chicken or anything. But he called the Spielberg film boomer propaganda. And I was like, what? like, what? It does not compute. Boomer propaganda. Okay. So the question of whether we're alone in the universe and that entire conversation space, I guess, is boomer propaganda. Anyway, that kind of stuck in my craw, and I thought it was worth mentioning. I'm not going to go dig the guy's video up, but if you want to find it, I'm sure you just search "boomer propaganda" and you'll get his video. But I mean, it's so strange to me how all of the different takes on everything are so polarized. If you have I kind of liked it, I kind of didn't. There were some things I didn't like about it, and you put that out there. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a damn. They want to hear you raging and screaming and complaining about this actor or that thing or how it's not canonically correct. Like, they just want people, they want you to be mad. Can we not be mad? I mean, hey, I kind of liked it. I kind of didn't. There you go, right? Some things I liked, some things I didn't. Is it boomer propaganda? I think that's a little harsh. Anyway, what do you know? Look, I'm calling this tonight Cold Light Rising, the strange afterlife of Angel's Glow, because the afterlife itself is the story. And as storytellers, as a people that literally think about ideas and spin them into narratives, and I'm talking about us, I'm talking about not just where we came from, but where we're headed, and moving it through this hyper-reality space of AI, suddenly all of the historical anecdotes are going to be washed out in nonsense. And this in particular, like I said, look at how many articles. Angels glow, angels glow, angels glow, angels glow. It's all there. A Civil War mystery. Is it though? Yeah. I'm more interested really where the gold that went missing during the Civil War actually is. Did the FBI take that? Anyway, you get the idea. I'm just being cynical there. But okay, but we're talking again. So hundreds of Civil War soldiers were destined to die. Then their wounds started glowing. And not only that, the soldiers who were wounded and dying and their wounds were glowing had a better chance to survive than the others. Weird, right? Strange. But it might be phony. It might be an AI hallucination dating back to 2001. Rocco's basilisk would like a word. Anyway, that's what's on my mind tonight. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being part of this. Like I said, I was gonna take a break from the larger summer narrative here because it's just getting too much for my little pea brain space. And we'll get back to that on either Thursday or Sunday, probably Thursday, because like I said, it's going to be the summer solstice coming up here. But anyway, that's what's on my mind tonight. What do you guys know about this? Have you heard this story? Does it surprise you? And how come everything is always angels glow or UFOs or demons or all this stuff, right? It always seems to be this polarized story space where, the mystical wonder is the same story we've been telling since the very beginning. Seems strange? Or not? 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Love to hear your thoughts. What do you know? Cold light rising, the strange afterlife of angels glow. Why angels glow? Why phony stories? Why do people win science fairs by telling fictitious tales? The plot thickens. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Be right back. More on the way. We got more from James. We got Daryl in New York and your calls as well. Don't go anywhere. Be right back.
You're tuning into Troubled Minds, the show where mystery knows no bounds. Stay tuned for revelations that'll keep you questioning the fabric of reality.
Above the marshland call, the corpse light drifts along the wall. Surgeon, watch the garden burn with cold fire from the buried earth. They named it and they let it go. A light that heals, a light that shows the place where living meets the ground. When no one wrote the legend down. Some things glow for reasons that the knowing doesn't touch. A wound becomes a lantern when the dark becomes too much. We called it what we
and the music will be in the Discord at the end of the show. As always, if you dig it, it's there for free. Hope everybody's well tonight. Thanks, James, for jumping in here. We'll talk to James momentarily as well, the glue of the show. What's up, Herschel Dragon Rose? What's up, Daryl? Coming up next. How you doing? We got Matsal, Joey, the Robert, and Sacha over to Rumble. What's going on, guys? Actually, let's do YouTube first because we never do YouTube first. What's going on? We got Fred is here, gets first, and Eli, welcome back. We got James is there. What's up, MJ? Hello, good evening, fellas. Hope everybody's well. Mr. Mission Control, welcome back. How are you? What's up, NF Gever? How was Spielberg's masterpiece? Yeah, that's what kind of triggered my little rant there. What's up, GR Hutch? I see you. What's up, Ioxy? Good evening. I hope everybody's well tonight. Fred wants to know where all the ladies are. He says it's a sausage fest over there on YouTube. Yeah. Hey, I'm not counting any sausages, but yeah. What's up? Nostradamus gets first on Rumble. What's up, Hiker Emoji? Good evening. Hope everybody's well tonight. We got who else is here? Sweets, of course, the other glue of the show. Appreciate you. What's up, Karen? Welcome. Hello, of Knights of the Storm. We've got who else is here? If I missed you, just I'll circle back and say hi. Here we go. Trouble Minds coming now. Nostradamus, Magavelli. Okay, let's do it. Let us go. What's up, Kelly? I see you there. Here we go. When I find the button, here we go. Welcome back. to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're taking your calls as we go deep into the Battle of Shiloh at the Civil War. Check this out. After the Battle of Shiloh, soldiers reported a faint blue glow in their wounds, and the ones who glowed survived. 139 years later, a pair of teenagers traced it to a soil-dwelling bacterium that produces bioluminescence for reasons we still don't understand. But the real twist, there's no primary source for the legend before 2001. No letters, no surgeon reports. The story might have invented itself. And we've talked about that, the vampire that invented itself when they filmed was it Vincent Price, I believe? Who was starred in that movie? It's been a minute since we did that show, The Highgate Vampire. But they filmed a vampire movie in the Highgate Cemetery, and then for the year and years after, it basically caused vampire hauntings in the cemetery. Almost as if these stories we tell are really self-fulfilling prophecies in the sense of we explain what we expect to see, and it becomes real or real enough. Narrative enough. And like I said, really the basis of the show tonight is this. Wait, it's all narratives? Yeah, it always has been. Yeah. What do you know about this? Have you ever heard about this Civil War story with the glowing wounds? And do you think, so if this is possible for this story to just literally be washed in the internet in this one key term, which of course the key term is angels glow, how much of the internet is just nonsense? And beyond that, how much of history is also nonsense because of narratives, because of people, kind of leaving out a dirty detail they don't want to get out. I don't know. This is the type of stuff I always think about because I have to wonder, is everything we've been talking about, everything we've built civilization on, is it a farce? Just a troubled mind thought for you. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Anything to add, James? And we'll go to Daryl in New York.
Yeah, two quick things. First of all, there is the opposite in a way as well. And I'm thinking of reports of haunted places where there's a story about, this person that died in the location, but then there's no historical evidence of it. And of course, in some cases, there's reports of sightings there. Others, there's not. There's just a story of it. And I can tell you just from doing research for my show, I do a whole series on haunted places in the U.S., and I use AI to gather a list for each state. And not every list or not every location in each list makes it onto my show, because when I do the research and try to find sources and links describing what might be going on in the location, sometimes there's not enough. There's literally just not. There's Facebook posts, there's videos maybe, but there's no official narrative of why a place is haunted, or not enough links basically to really want to put in the show and say, here, this seems like it's accurate. I have to discard a lot of locations.
Yeah, no shade on TikTok, but you catch my drift when I say that just because you see it on the internet doesn't make it real. So, of course, including this show, which is why all the disclaimers always apply as part of it. These are, again, thought experiments. These are a way to look at the world differently, and also to really drudge up the idea of the propaganda aspect of the world we live in, which, I would fathom that maybe it's coin flippy. Like probably half the stuff we've all heard is probably nonsense, right? I mean, I don't know. Maybe we can debate that as well as we go tonight. You're the best, James. Anything else to add? And if not, we'll go to Daryl.
No, I think that's it for now.
You're the best. Back to you momentarily. Appreciate it very much. If you want to be part of the conversation tonight, talking the Battle of Shiloh, these weird glowing wounds, and of course, the retrocausal aspect of winning a science fair and creating a story that wasn't real. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. Let's go to Daryl. Daryl in New York. What is going on? You are on Troubled Minds. How are you tonight? And go right ahead. Good evening. Good evening. No problem at all. Just unmute and you should be good to go.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay.
There we go. I think you could hear me now, right?
Loud and clear. You sound fantastic. Welcome to Troubled Minds. How are you tonight? And what's on your mind?
I'm good. This definitely sounded so familiar to me because I've been doing some research about certain organisms and, bacteria, etc. Just wondering, like the components of Morgellons disease had also some mentions of bioluminescence. And I just have to tell you, the connection here didn't go unnoticed by me, at least. When I looked up, I just did a search, when I heard your show, I said, let me just look up bioluminescence and Morgellons disease. And they said, oh, it has nothing to do with the angel's glow. But if you look at the definition in Wikipedia, you want to hear this? This is crazy. Okay, wait a second. It's photohabdus luminescence, previously called xenohabdus luminescence, is a gamma protectobacterium of the family Morganellaceae. Morganellaceae, Morganellaceae, and is a lethal pathogen of insects. And it lives in the gut of an endopathogenic nematode of the family Heterohabditidae. All right. Well, anyway, I'm not pronouncing everything correctly, but just coincidentally, doesn't that sound like it's Morganell? I've never heard that word. Morganellaceae.
Yeah.
That's the definition of the bioluminescence in the Wikipedia. I'm like, that sounds like Morgellons to me. And then there are other connections, with nematodes, including some interesting conversation that they quoted Bill Gates talking about in, where did it go? I have to find this. I've not finished researching, but trust me, this is the connections are crazy. So I don't know if it's a true story or not about the soldiers there, but it would not surprise me that these things have been around for a long time and just maybe have been modified or maybe manipulated to be more infectious. I don't know.
Oh, I see what you're getting at. The old gain of function exercise is what you're talking about.
Gain of funky function, right? And I found this quote. I mean, they quoted him in this. This is the crazy part. And I think Derek would like this part because it has this name, something called a Luciferian. I don't know if you've heard that word before. I kind of have. Oh, shoot. It was in a PubMed, like Science Direct. I have to find it. I think I just misplaced it. I'll find it later. I'll put it in the chat. But anyway, I'm just saying this is not going unnoticed by me. Yeah, there's something. They use this word Luciferian, but it's something like the Lux operon, a bioluminescent bacteria sharing the genes coding for proteins responsible for light emission. So this is definitely some sort of correct, scientific, discovery, or it exists already. This is definitely something that exists. I'm not sure, if that was it in its native form, maybe when it was very helpful for humans, and they somehow, made it not very good for humans after all. It doesn't help. But there's something about the superbug. They called Morgellons a silent superbug because it did have a way of kind of dominating other conditions and, keeping you kind of immune to certain other pathogens by, just driving you absolutely crazy. But it at least, it was like the dominant bacteria, living in your system, perhaps, because it kept you from getting sick on other things. And that's probably what the soldiers experienced by not dying or not getting cold. It probably had some great characteristics before it got messed with. Just saying.
Yeah,
you know,
well, yeah.
just-
So that's so they did. It seems to me like they sort of found the science on this and then sort of reverse engineered a story. And the story, like I said, true or false, there's not a lot of primary sources as I was describing. But and all the things you're describing here, I've got the Wikipedia up as well for photor habdis luminescence. So read into this. Like I said, I don't know. I'm not a scientist, as you guys know. I see some of the connections like Daryl did with the Morgellons say there, whatever that is. There's some stuff going on with this, and it is an actual pathogen, a lethal pathogen of insects. So this is part of that space where it's plausible, right? Like it fits in the plausible space of, yeah, you know, I can kind of see where this would be super cool. And there are, look, bioluminescence in nature. What's up? Sacha was saying, you know, he saw some logs, you know, outside his place, kind of bioluminescence actually happening. It's not the only thing where it happens in nature. There are multiples. And, you know, of course, we've talked about the will-o'-the-wisp recently and sort of the plasma and some of that. So this really fits into that larger contextual space. But it turns out that, you know, it's coin flippy, as I was describing. The story may be phony anyway, but they won a science fair as part of it, first place in the fair, because they recognized that there was maybe this connection, and they were able to kind of say that, hey, maybe this happened. I mean, it seems like a great Troubled Minds narrative to me, something like we'd make up, right? But hey, I ain't won no science fairs, so you know, it's sour grapes or whatever.
Oh, it sounds like somebody did find it. I'm going to post a Substack that mentioned the Bill Gates quote that charismatic operating system. Yeah, they said there's something about smart dust and graphene oxide being sprayed in the skies that Bill Gates was talking about. And they think that the Morgellons fibers came from substances that are sprayed in the atmosphere. That was one of the theories, that have synthetic materials or nanotechnology that can interact with human biology. And that they're talking about silicon intelligence, not a biological intelligence. So this goes with the AI and the bioluminescence theory. It's all in this Substack quote. So it's very interesting. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, yeah. Other things that glow is things like, what do you call it? Mold. Mold, if you go use a UV light in the dark, you could pick up mold that also has a bioluminescent quality. So do a lot of fish, you know, that are in deep waters, they have bioluminescence. And there's something in Puerto Rico, the bioluminescent bay, and there's some sort of either bug or fish, I forget what, that glows in the dark at night. And it's a pretty cool phenomena to experience, apparently.
Yeah. And notice how it's come up multiple times recently in this conversation, sort of the will-o'-the-wisp and the bioluminescence effect of swamp gas and this sort of thing. It certainly fits into the UFO conversation pretty well, but we're not talking UFOs tonight, of course. It's something a little different, but it is wild to me how these tales seem to be circular. When you talk about circular reporting sort of in the UFO space of, people telling the same stories to each other over and over again, kind of creating its own mythology. This is a perfect example of something like that, where, again, in 2001, this didn't exist before these guys won the science fair. And then suddenly this story did exist, right? So suddenly there's a backup story to your miraculous science that you can, actually, it's real. I mean, it's real. This is not a phony thing, but the story that backs it up as part of the larger context seems to be a little sketchy. I'm not going to say it's totally made up, because you know me, I don't like to call people liars. But in this case, like I said, I'm going to give a coin flippy on the actual space of this. But it is wild to consider that. Imagine being, living in that time, 139 years ago, longer than that, 150 now, and I go to this battlefield and just think of the visual space of that. Like you come in the morning and the sun's, barely coming up, and there's all these guys laying out there just dying in the fields with these open wounds that are glowing green. Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, just the visual itself is crazy. Go ahead.
Isn't it? I'm just wondering if there's some kind of other mythological stories or biblical stories that have some similar story to or narrative to this, that have some kind of I don't know, glowing moons. I've never heard something that strange, but you never know. Could be some kind of mythological. We have to look that up. I'm going to have to investigate that. So it might not be the first story about this, Maybe it's
I would guess
it's happened before. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, back to the circular reporting of the same stories we keep telling ourselves, and it's the interesting part too with the storytelling is that, look, we're always telling ourselves stories. Everything's a narrative, as I've been describing tonight, and so in this particular case, it's a compelling narrative. It's interesting. It's one of those things that makes you want to learn more about history. Like there are some good fibs out there that play and actually do some good work. I'll even say ancient astronaut theorists say yes. Look, I'm not an ancient astronaut theorist. I don't believe everything that those guys say. But I do think that sort of looking at the history in a slightly different way with through a new lens has sort of fired a lot of interest in some of these spaces like Graham Hancock and the fact that everything's getting older and older and older. So anyway, I'll shut up. Your time. What else you got? Go ahead.
No, I just think it's very interesting. And there are so many parallels. Just the vocabulary, I've seen it before, the luminescence stuff. And, there's a lot of very similar nematodes or bacterium that are, cross-related with this story as well as other stories, about, biology and bacteria, et cetera, and manipulating bacteria, et cetera, to do other things. But definitely sounds like, the angel's glow, just this whole story sounds so interesting. Gamma protectobacterium. Interesting. I just find it very, very similar and curious, to say the least. And why is this subject coming up now? Like, I don't know. How would you go back engineer a story to make it up like this? To start with the bacteria and go to the story. Start with the story and find the bacteria.
Right.
I don't know.
And then figure it all out. I can tell you why I'm talking about it, because this hit Popular Mechanics on June 4th, 2026. So this is brand new that I saw. And that's why I was like, oh, this is cool. This is a new story that I didn't know about.
Totally.
Read into it and was like, this seems kind of sketchy now. I don't know what to think. But that's why I'm talking about it, because it is in the, the current zeitgeist. As you know me, I like to kind of keep things fresh and talk about why these things kind of hit. And like I said, do you guys do yourselves a favor? Search for it. Search for Angel's Glow, and you'll see that every single hit takes you back to this story. It's like a mythology, a modern mythology created almost in a science lab as part of a way to build narratives, like a perfect example of how you would build a narrative that sticks and might even become sort of a historical doctrine once the AIs learn about it. And then, say that, Claude sniffed it out for me and was like, hey, this might not be true at all, bro. And I was like, oh, really? Like, yeah, okay. And check out the Snopes, check out some of these other articles. This may not be real. So that's good that at least, Claude is able to kind of sniff out some of this stuff and recognize where it might be phony. But I think the larger storytelling angle of this is incredible.
Well, what if it's AI that could create some stories for us to get go off on a tangent on, or make us more curious about things that never happened, just to take up, to mind screw us, so to speak, and how I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that AI could do that aren't true. They could make up stories. There's stuff going around now. I'm not going to even bring up the name because it's just so disturbing to me. But they're saying that somebody might have resigned, etc. And I thought it was true the first time I saw it. It turns out it wasn't. So I don't know. AI could be making this whole thing up. Can you imagine?
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is literally right in the wheelhouse of what we've talked about for years together, because we're starting to sniff this out and recognize, not just as we grow older and we've been around the block a few times, it's all narratives all the time. But now when we have AI narratives, that hyper reality is fast and furious right in our face. There's absolutely no doubt in that. Yep.
Terrible. Anyway, that's about all I have for now. I'm going to keep looking this up, though, because I find it very interesting. but I just have one more thing. This bacteria walked into a bar, and the bartender says, "Excuse me, we don't serve bacteria here." And the bacteria said, "Oh no, I'm not looking to drink here. I work here. I'm staff." Staff, get it? Staff. Okay,
got it. Sorry, I hit the button. It didn't go at first, so that was a user error. I love it. Hey, so I'm not here to drink. I'm on staff.
I'm just staff. All right, that's it. Great topic. Very interesting. Have a good night.
And Fire Call, appreciate you very much. You know where you love her. That is Daryl in New York, the official cosmic comic of Troubled Minds. Very smart lady in all the ways. And I do like how she can tie in some of the stuff to Morgellons. If you're interested in that, she experienced Morgellons firsthand. And you can see a bunch of that stuff, not just some paranormal stuff. She's very talented, sings in English and French. Go check out her YouTube channel. Shout out Sweets and Gordo and who else is over there over on Rumble for pinning Daryl's YouTube channel. Go follow. Look, go follow the people. That's what this is about. Scroll down, click it, scroll down, follow Daryl right there. Alphabetical, you cannot miss it. Please go follow her YouTube channel and go give her some love. Tell her you love the jokes and tell her you love her intelligence and fierce wit and all the rest of the stuff. And she's always got a fantastic take when it comes to this type of stuff. Appreciate you, Daryl. Thank you for the call. James, anything to add to that? We got about 4 minutes left, but I do have stuff to get to, of course, because you know me. I like to get weird, get deep and all the rest. But anything on any of that, because I think there's a lot there.
Well, it's the thing also that sticks in my mind is if this was an event where this happened, this light appeared on these people, and any one person happened to sort of pass through the area around that time and saw that, in the sort of the culture and religious beliefs of that time, you would think that kind of story would just go everywhere. It would just spread like crazy because let's say this person thinks this is, again, as you mentioned, the name of the thing itself, Angel's Fire, not Angel's Fire, Angel's Glow. Angel Fire keeps on coming to mind because there was some web service or other years ago that was Angel Fire. But, and you would think that if this happened and if anyone saw it, there would be a lot more about it and a lot more calling it, divine intervention in a way. And it would have survived throughout time, and we would be aware of it now, not just through this one set of articles. But the fact that it's not is, to me, very telling in and of itself.
Yeah, well said. And it is divine intervention. I mean, this really appears to be at face value in the Civil War when they didn't understand gangrene and, infections. And it was still a very budding actual science when it came to that. So it would appear as if this happened, it would appear as if this was some sort of actual divine intervention. The wounds glowing, kind of cleaning out the bacteria there. And look, we've talked about this in the past as well, that, honey is the antimicrobial. They used to put it on wounds in ancient Egypt, as far as we know. And so like that type of stuff really stopped infections. I mean, it makes me wonder why we forgot some of these things. I mean, maybe it won't cure everything. It won't fix everything if you got a gaping wound or, you cut your leg off or something, God forbid. But you get what I mean. It's just so much of this stuff in nature is and are remedies to those folk remedies we've always talked about. And so that's where this really starts to become compelling when you talk about medicine and penicillin and some of the stuff that actually came out of the natural space to cure us, to help combat infectious diseases. It's an incredible thing, all of it. And I'm, like I said, I'm glad, whether the story's real or not, I'm glad that it surfaced because it's an interesting thing to think about in the moment. And also it fits very well with what we do on this show when we talk about narratives entirely. Fire stuff. What else you got, brother?
Well, there are so many cases of, supposed events that happened that, or at least people say they're supposed, other people say they're real, that whether they're real or not, they have sort of influenced the sort of paranormal and or anomalous field and just in all kinds of ways. And then you get reports of these things happening based on these tales. I'm thinking of, vanishing ships or boats, UFOs in general, as we talked about earlier, all these different things. Even if, let's say, one person makes up a story about it, and then they post it online, they'll get all kinds of responses. I had an experience with this too. And to say all those people that are responding to that one story are making it up, as I always say, I have a hard time with that. Not that I think everything that we find online or anywhere is 100% accurate, but I don't think that 100% of people are exaggerating or making things up all the time, as I always say.
Yeah, well said. And that's really where the rubber meets the road when it comes to tales like this. What do you believe? And that's why I talk about belief so much, because I think it's an important aspect of what it means to be human. What do you know? I'm calling this cold light rising, the strange afterglow of afterlife of Angel's Glow. I did it too. Angel Fire, James. And we're taking your calls if you want to be part of the conversation. 702-857-6939. Have you heard of this before? Do you believe this is a concocted story? What about bioluminescence? And what about going back to the primordial nature spirits that are still here to heal us from the days of yore? This is Troubled Minds on Michael Strange. Be right back. More on the way. Do not go anywhere.
This is Troubled Minds. Your host, Michael Strange, the master of the mysterious, is here to guide you through the shadows of the unexplained.
Let's check the news. A new book is shining a light on a lesser-known side of one of television's biggest stars. Jackie Gleason, best known for his role in The Honeymooners, was a lifelong collector of paranormal literature, amassing a personal library of roughly 3,000 volumes covering everything from ESP and telekinesis to flying saucers and astral projection. Author Andrew Lampert has published Jackie Gleason, Library of the Paranormal, reproducing dozens of covers from Gleason's collection, titles including Is Your Cosmic Radio Working? And How to Contact Space People. Adding another layer to the story, Gleason's late 50s home in Cortlandt Manor, New York, a circular structure he called the Mothership, recently hit the market for $5.5 million and remains standing today. Turning now to seismic news out of the American West, California's fault systems may be closer to a catastrophic rupture than at any point in recorded history. A study published in the Journal of Geophysical Research finds that the San Andreas and San Jacinto fault systems are under the highest levels of tectonic stress seen in 1,000 years. Lead researcher Lillian Burkhart of the University of Hawaii warns that conditions at Cajon Pass could trigger a simultaneous rupture of both systems, sending shockwaves across all of Southern California. The research stops short of predicting when such an event might occur, but describes the region as being in a, quote, critically loaded state. And in the world of artificial intelligence and high finance, leaked financial documents are painting a complicated picture of OpenAI's economic reality. The company's revenues grew dramatically, from $3.7 billion in 2024 to over $13 billion in 2025, but those figures are being swamped by expenses on nearly every front. Research and development costs alone reached $19 billion last year, and the company's total operating loss climbed to nearly $21 billion in 2025. OpenAI has told investors it expects to reach profitability by 2030, but the newly surfaced documents suggest the road between here and there remains a long one. Thanks for listening to the Troubled Minds Radio Network.
OpenAI profitable in 2030. Oh, sorry. What's up? Hope everybody's well tonight. What's up, Eric, Jen? So we got the order of operations. We got a mystery caller that's been waiting for us some time, so we're going to go to the call. Then we'll go to Jen on Discord. What's up, Jen? How are you? Welcome. Eric, Jen, what's up, Dragon Rose? What's up, Daryl? Thanks for the call. Funny fire stuff as always. The Robert, Sacha, Matza, what's up, Herschel, Joey, Don't Panic, Kramos, a Lunging Mule, and the Unseen Steve McQueen on Discord. I appreciate you guys being here. And Kramos has taken his dog for a walk, and he says he's got something that fits. He'll call a little later. What is going on, Race? Can anyone lend me $5 million? I really want to purchase this mothership. Yes, indeed. What's up, Matzel? I see you there. Yes, Sweets. What's up? What's up, Ioxy? Power goes out. I play my guitar. The drum machine is a brick. There you go. All you need is a big boot and stomp it in the dirt, right? Who'd I miss? Dragon Rose, Race. I see you guys. If I missed anybody in the chat, just make sure you say hi, and I'll say hi back. I do my best trying to keep everybody involved here. And I appreciate all the thoughtful chat. Thanks for being nice to each other. I appreciate that very much as well. What's up, Nostradamus? We got Margie over there on Rumble. Good evening. Yep, the chat stalls and sticks sometimes. Yeah, you got to refresh. What's up, Sweets? I see there. Good evening. We got the Puff sighting. Yeah, Gordo? No, Gordo sighting yet? Not quite yet. What's up? Hope everybody's well tonight. Just hanging out. Karen Carpenter, I see there. Good evening. Hello. There's Puff. There's Karen. James. Okay. If I missed anybody, my fault. It's an oversight. I promise. It's just an accident. I'll circle back around and say hi. We got a mystery caller on line 1. We got Jen coming up and your calls as well, and more from James. What do you know about it? We're talking this bioluminescence stuff, the angels glow, and storytelling. Scary stories to tell in the dark. Brought to you by Troubled Minds Radio. Here we go. Troubled Minds happening right about now. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. All the places, all the things, yada, yada, blah, 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 troubledminds.org. Hey, help our friends while you're there. By the way, look, a big list of friends there, more going up all the time, and appreciate you guys. Thanks for supporting not just the show here, but supporting the larger friend network. Again, this is about growing a network. Think about it. It could start with 2 guys on the internet that nobody listened to, that eventually became all the things you see and hear now. Wild. Incredible. I'm honored to be at the center of this whirlwind, and thank you for hanging out and being part of this. Tonight we're talking the Civil War Battle of Shiloh. Yeah, we're talking bioluminescence. We're talking about this particular story where angels glow supposedly presented in wounds that helped people survive, helped these soldiers survive as they waited, up to 2 or 3 days for true medical help to arrive, as they lay there in the mud with hypothermia, dying, infected, all kinds of stuff. But the story goes that Angel's Glow is what they called this retroactively, that the name came around about in 2001 or so. So we're wondering if the story is even real. But the glow itself had some kind of actual healing effect through this photor habdus luminescens. Links from the description. It's even cited in this, by the way, by the actual the scientific classification of this thing. It's reported that infection of this bacterium of the wounds of soldiers in the American Civil War at the Battle of Shiloh caused the wounds to glow, and that this aided the survival of the soldiers due to the production of antibiotics by this P luminescence. So it's even cited in the Wikipedia version of this, the actual scientific classification. So look, I don't know. There's a lot of weird spaces going on here, and I don't know what to believe, but I do know that bioluminescence is interesting, and storytelling is highly fascinating as well. So what do you believe? As usual, the question always comes back to, what do you believe? 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubleminds.org. Anything to add, James? And we'll go to line number 1.
No, I think I'm good for now.
Stay right there. Get back to you momentarily. Good evening. Who is this? Let's see. Mystery caller. You're on Troubled Minds in just a second here. Welcome. What's your first name? Where are you calling from? And go right ahead.
It's Ricky.
Ricky.
Yeah.
Anything is possible. What's up, brother? Welcome to the thing. Hey, I was hoping you'd call because this is your neck of the woods, right? The Battle of Shiloh, huh?
Yeah. I've been there and had a pretty amazing. The last time I went was I got a pretty amazing story. If you want me to share that too.
Absolutely. Let's hear it.
Parents and stuff and everything. It was pretty cool. Yeah, I've heard. You've seen it come out like 2001. I guess the name wise, but I remember hearing about this a long time ago. I think my grandma told me about it. About the magical, bacteria or whatever, like was keeping the gangrene away, because Shiloh was a terrible, terrible battle. They said that it was 3 days. I think it was 3 days, and the way the cloud cover and everything, it kept the smoke down. So really, they couldn't see. They were just firing. Something fired at them, they fired back. So it was a lot of, same side people hurting each other. Basically, even on the same, Union soldiers shooting the Union soldiers and everything else, and then Confederate on, because of just how smoky and everything. Had to been terrifying, just sitting there. I was just hearing cannon fire, and it was And if you never heard of cannon fire before, it's one by itself is pretty amazing. But you have infantry, so I can only imagine what the rumbling and the fire and everything just had to been.
Yeah,
hearing them balls would whistle through the woods, tearing trees apart. It just had to been horrendous sounding.
Yeah, dozens or hundreds of them, those cannons, and aimed at you, shooting at you. I mean, yeah, I can't even imagine. Like that's the type of stuff that will really test your mettle. Like how deeply do you believe in this space? I mean, I tell you what.
Because if you go you can go to Shiloh now, and you can go around, and there are so many different infantries and stuff all around, and it showed like here's where this one was that, and like it's kind of neat where you can drive around. So like you kind of drive around like a figure eight, so you'll actually get to see everything if you want to, and all the different things. Of course, there's like mass burial graves that some of them they've dug up and actually put them in the cemetery. Some are still some mass graves are still there, where some they're not sure where they're at. So it's, like I said, it was a terrible, terrible time for sure. But yeah, I remember I remember my grandma talking about that years ago. And as always, as my show says, anything is possible for sure. I mean, it could be, it could be supernatural just coming in and just, healing, or it could be, there's so many things that we truly don't understand. And there were so many things like back in the day, you hear Graham Hancock and stuff talk about it all the time, sometimes and talk about just, like 20,000 years ago, there's just a different time where you had different ways of healing, and then everything was more in tune with nature, and possibly it could truly be like, and you hear the scientists and stuff talk about like, that this has a frequency, this has this, and a lot of things could be like Avatar, where the trees and everything, and if you're in tuned enough where you can actually communicate with everything. So possibly, nature was trying to help out and help them soldiers out,
Yeah. And so that's the thing, right? And I love that your grandmother actually knew this, and you knew this young from her. So I think maybe it's unfair of me to paint this as a new story from 2001 as part of this, kind of recreating maybe old folklore, like actual local folklore that kind of sticks, and people just know these things in particular areas of not just the country, but the world at large. And they talk about them, but they don't, they haven't fully been studied. They're not, widely dispersed into the media space. So my apologies on that, because I'm not, again, not trying to call anybody liars, especially grandmas, for crying out loud. Absolutely not. But fire stuff, brother. Appreciate you. What else you got? What is that story, by the way? You've been to Shiloh, I hear.
I've been to Shiloh a bunch of times. It's a magical place. Like it has Indian burial mounds there also. And so there's that energy there. 2 years ago, my mom was like, I want to go to Shiloh. I want to go to Shiloh. I was like, all right, we're going. And I've gotten kind of in the mindset now, especially since they're getting older. I'm like, hey, they want to do something, like, kind of adamant. I'm like, all right, we're doing it. So I took the lead. I'm like, all right, tell my brother, tell my dad. I'm like, all right, we're going there. So we met up there, and we brought like a picnic kind of thing, and we all got in my Jeep. Had the windows down, radio off, everything was off. So we just enjoying like the nature and the moment, and I was idling through the place. There was like nobody behind me, so I could go as slow as I want to. And all of a sudden, I heard trumpet music, like just faintly going across. Like this going across the grounds and stuff. And I'm like, what was that? And I'm like, well, my mind messing with me, whatever it is. And of course, my mom turns and looks at me and goes, you heard that, didn't you? And I'm like, yeah, I did hear that. I keep meaning to ask my dad, my brother, like, did y'all hear that mess too? But like, I know for sure, like I said, Mom just like absolutely was like, oh yeah, that was going on right there. And she actually come on my show on a Sunday a while back and actually told her side of it, and said the same thing. It was pretty cool. But and then we kept driving, and they were doing reenactment cannon fire that day, but it wasn't. The next firing was another 45 minutes away, and we heard faint, maybe cannon fire or musket fire. We could hear, and she did the same thing again. I'm sitting there, I'm like, I heard it just clear as day. Of course, like it's faint, like it was for sure just like residual energy or whatever, I believe. But and then she turned like, you heard that one too, didn't you? I was like, yeah, I heard that too. And so it was, and like 45 minutes later, so it maybe like because they were firing the cans off, maybe it just woke up the energy in the area. And because it was, like I said, it's a powerful place. It's right there on the Tennessee River. So you got this mighty river going through there. So you got the water energy, and then you got Indian Barrel Mounds right there, protected on the site. And then you go on top of that, you had this major battle where 23,000 people died in like 3 days. So there's lots of energy. I've seen lots of pictures over the years where people are taking pictures of soldiers poking in and out of the woods. We didn't get to see that, but we did get to hear some cool sounds. And like I said, it was cool that I was glad like my parents were there and stuff like that. Because I was like, if I was been by myself, I just would have doubted myself. Man, I'm just hearing things. I'm just imagining it. And then of course, my mom like, of course I wouldn't go lie to her. Like, no, I didn't hear that. No, what are you talking about? But it was pretty amazing moment, and just one of them things I know I won't never forget, because hearing that faint cannon fire and hearing that music play, and knowing there was nothing, like we're way out in the middle. You can see through the fields and stuff where we were at. You could see there was nobody even nowhere near us for hundreds of yards, probably thousands of yards. I mean, it was pretty amazing moment, really, I think.
Yeah, agreed. That hollowed ground aspect of not just the Native American burials, the rivers, shout out rivers, the mystical source waters, shout out Derek the Night Stalker. I mean, blood soaked that battle of just a unbelievable trauma. And so, but Gettysburg, is the one everybody remembers because of the Gettysburg Address and Abe Lincoln and all the rest of that. But Shiloh was the bloodiest battle of the Civil War. So as far as I'm aware, so it's one of those ones that doesn't get mentioned as much as it should in that space. And yeah, I mean, I follow you, Race, in the chat there. Are there any bioluminescent stuff that don't have to do with war? Yeah, we'll get to those too. Actually, they're kind of backloaded in the write up there. We'll talk about that stuff, the marine stuff and whatever else. But it's an incredible place. I've never been there. Like I said, the more I'm reading about this, the more I'm like, wow. And then talk to Ricky, who lives out there and actually has a grandmother and a mother who are into that local folklore and maybe recognizes this as an old story that did resurface. I mean, I love that. Fire stuff, brother. What else you got?
Yeah, that's it. Shout out Sweet. She sent me a message and was like, "Hey, you know what they're talking about?" I was like, "No, I'm at the gym trying to get. I'm getting in the MMA cage to do a grappling match with another coach coming up next month." I was like, "Well, why not? I'll be 47 next month, so that'll be fun." But so I was up in the gym trying to get some extra work in. And then she sent me a message like, "You know what they're talking about?" And I was like, "No, I hadn't get a chance to look at it." And she said Shiloh. I was like, well, I got a Shiloh story.
Hell yeah. Hey, number one, kick his ass when you get in the cage. Number two, sorry to interrupt your workout there. Go get back to that. The muscles play.
Oh, it's good.
And thank you for peeling out time to call, because like I said, there's nothing like somebody who lives in those areas that have been to those places that can tell you. And some of that local folklore, like I said, is incredible when it comes to this type of stuff. But appreciate you very much, brother. Thanks for popping in here. Go get him. I'm rooting for you. Kick his ass. Let us know when it's coming. Let us know if it live streams. We'll sweat you on the rail. You're the best, bro.
Yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be a live stream. We'll have a live stream. I'll try to make sure I send out the links and stuff like that for you for sure. And so July 11th, I'll be opening the show for Primal Cage Warriors, the third show. It's gonna be fun. They were trying to get it on the last show and it didn't fall through, so they want to see me in the cage. And for the ones that watch, it'd be fun because like I said, I'll be 47. I'm here to have fun. I'm here to compete and win, but I'm also here to have fun. So I come out in Ric Flair robe. I got the Ric Flair music going in the background, hooing at all the crowd hooing back at me. So I'm gonna put on a show like it's gonna be a spectacle all the way through. So
looking forward to it.
It should be fun.
Get to the gains, and we'll see you then. Like I said, make sure you tag me with all that stuff, and we'll share it in all the places. Appreciate you very much. Thanks for popping in here.
Yes,
thank you for sharing your experience of being there and your family's experience. And always a pleasure, my man. You have a great night.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We love him. Ricky, Anything is Possible is the name of his podcast. Check it out. Talking with Conspiracy. He does Wednesday nights. On Sundays, he does a stream with James and other individuals about paranormal stuff. Yeah, you know where to find him. TroubledMinds.org/friends. Scroll down a little bit. Says Ricky. Very simple. Alphabetical. Click it. He's got a link tree. Go check it out and go follow him in all the places. Very smart guy. And podcasting, live streaming. He's doing it all. And he's out there training to go whoop some dude's ass in a cage on July 11th. I'm ready for it. Shout out Sweets for pinging Ricky there and letting him know we're talking about his neck of the woods in Shiloh. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at TroubledMinds.org. We'll put you on the show. Jen in Missouri, thanks for being patient. You were on Troubled Minds. How are you tonight? Go right ahead. Welcome.
Much respect to Ricky, getting in there and doing all of that. A lot of discipline involved. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear. You sound great.
Yeah, you forget about what has happened. And I live in a centralized location too, and all my life I've lived around just the stories and everything. And then you can't really escape it. I mean, there's signposts everywhere. At certain locations where there was mass loss of life. It was something like 600,000 people, soldiers who fought in that war. Well, more than that, but died in that war, I should say. That 600,000, 620,000, all the way up to 750,000 Americans, fought and died in the Civil War. That's really incredible in and of itself. It's hard to imagine. It really is. Just the massive loss of the foundational importance of how significant it was to everyone. And when I lived, the previous city I lived in, it was pretty obvious. There were streets named after different battles and things like that. And there was one particular location west of the Mississippi. It was one of the major battles, one of the major first battles west of the Mississippi. And it was 2,500 who died on that ground. And there was a monument there for it. And it had all kinds of history of, strange things, people seeing things. So in and of itself, just the unfathomable level of sacrifice of soldiers in those instances, not to even mention the casualties of that war in the United States. And so it's really incredible that in and of itself, as being, I guess necessary at the time. They believed so enough that we're not going to go into all of that, of how significant it was to so many people, Union soldiers, mass graves, and even, in the Confederate soldiers. So that in and of itself, and the numbers were pretty closely, there was loss of life on both sides that were, I think it was 350 on one side and 260 on the other, something like that, similar like that. We did many reports like that when I was in school. But I think as far as the glowing wounds of it, one thing, so I know it's hard to kind of shift from this super reality that of the reality of the massive amount of loss of life. So considering that, and I hate to, it feels weird to shift over into sort of a woo field of like, what were they seeing when if they did see the glow of wounds on the soldiers themselves, or who saw it. I mean, it wasn't photographed, but it reminds me a lot of the biofield. This is it feels weird and almost sort of inappropriate to shift over into these kind of topics in a moment like that when you're talking about things like this. But maybe people saw different. Maybe they did see things, the world different. Maybe they were more sensitive to it, to seeing beyond the obvious, beyond just the physical matter of things. And there's a type of seeing that's beyond just visual sight. It's seen with the brain. It's seen like through a magnetic field or like the biofield. And Carillion photography done by the Russians and trying to see the aura of, organisms and things like that in Russia. But I've heard theories when I was looking into there was a school called Hands of Light, and they did laying on of hands healing essentially. And there were many different types of, you would call like new age school systems and ideas like this, where you're working to heal biofield, the energy bodies of a human being, and you're working with that. And one of the first things they teach you is to see the aura of organisms, of plants in particular, is where they start a lot of times. And this is straight out of their curriculum, but being able to see the auric field, and you're just seeing it with the eye. You're seeing it with basically like some sort of inner vision that you can see inside the brain. You can see in your mind's eye the aura of plants and people and things like that. And that's supposed to help you to eventually be able to like do something to help heal the individual in some way. I know this is backed by anything in particular, although it's focused on quite a bit by the government. It's like I said, the Carillion photography, trying to photograph the aura, things like that. Well, essentially that human beings could see something like this at times. They're able to see with some sort of inner sight this in their environment and be able to detect things like disease or whatever, what have you, to help individuals who are seeking that sort of service. And it's really interesting because with plant life and things like that, they discovered that, like if you were to take a healthy plant, and cut off the corner of a leaf, that in certain types of photography, that it will glow. It will glow. And so it's almost like a phantom limb syndrome for the plant, that they can sort of still put energy out to that space. So, I mean, that in and of itself was always really fascinating to me, that would be even conceivable. But is it possible that people were seeing with that sort of vision, the people who had witnessed this, or maybe it was a fairly localized event, or many people, it was such a potent event psychologically that it shattered something in the way that they saw the world around them. And they could see the wounds in a way on these people, the same way that people talk about seeing the injury to, because maybe the wound was much deeper than just a physical wound. I mean, it's hard to imagine being in that place and time, but to give everything or to be wounded in any war. And there have been many different theories about wars being a place of sacrifice for the masses in general, not just for an idea, obviously, and for an intent, and being sent to do so and giving their entire life, anything that might have become and anything that was before, for that purpose. And the wounds being visible to the onlookers is fascinating, though it could not be photographed, but witnesses may have reported it. It reminds me a lot of maybe they were seeing with another vision, basically like a different type of sight, and able to see that. And it looked like the wounds were glowing, however they saw them. But just the impact mentally, if it was traumatic, well, it would be traumatic to the onlooker as well as the entire experience of the whole thing, that it would shift over into sort of a seeing with this other side as well, and be able to see the wounds themselves. And then as far as them being able to survive it, maybe the people were gifted with being able to see exactly the best way to approach it or something like that, but they were affected somehow. And like I say, I don't know. I mean, theoretically, the time frame, in the world, and we don't know if that existed before that too. If the account could have been something that was seen before, or that there are accounts on battlefields and. Sorry, go right ahead.
No, just real quick. I dig that because maybe I'm into that, because you never really know. And that becomes maybe why it got buried in the folklore, is because it wasn't something everybody saw. Maybe, the shaman class or whatever, the priests or whatever it was, maybe they're the ones who saw this and sort of reported this. I'm going to take a quick break. Can you stay? Please stay right there.
I'll hold for just a second. I won't carry on much, about it. I'll hold.
Okay, stay right there. Stay right there. No problem. More from Jen coming up, more from James, and we got Kramos coming up in your calls as well. We're talking this Battle of Shiloh and sort of these glowing wounds as part of it. What does it mean? And again, like I said, my apologies for discounting the folklore of old. I think it's really important to look at the places where these stories come from, these firsthand accounts come from, and treat it with that reverence. So that's my fault. Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. Don't go anywhere. We got more from Jen, more from James. We got Kramos on your calls as well. See you on the other side of the break. We'll make it quick. Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. Grabbing a cold one. See you in just one moment. Be right back.
This is Troubled Minds. Your host, Michael Strange, the master of the mysterious, is here to guide you through the shadows of the unexplained.
Let's check the news. A new study published in the journal Aging US is raising eyebrows in the health and wellness community. Researchers from the University of Hong Kong and the University of Georgia analyzed data from more than 270,000 participants in the UK Biobank and found that higher blood levels of the amino acid tyrosine were consistently linked to shorter lifespans in men, potentially shaving close to a year off life expectancy. What makes the finding particularly striking is that tyrosine is a common ingredient in brain health supplements marketed for focus, energy, and cognitive performance. The research team used a genetic analysis technique called Mendelian randomization to help establish whether the relationship may be causal, not merely coincidental. Shifting now to the strange world of biology, a newly studied organism has been found to possess not 2, but 6 distinct biological sexes, and determines which one it expresses in a process researchers are comparing to a game of roulette. The discovery adds to a growing body of evidence suggesting that sexual reproduction in nature is far more varied and complex than traditional models have assumed. And in a development that blurs the boundaries between species, a new genomic study focusing on cockroaches has revealed that horizontal gene transfer, the process by which DNA from one organism is incorporated into the genome of a distantly related one, is far more common in complex multicellular animals than scientists previously believed. Researchers found fragments of bacterial DNA embedded in cockroach genomes that have persisted there for millions of years. The findings challenge long-held assumptions about how animal genomes remain isolated from outside genetic material, and suggest the tree of life may be far more interconnected than its branches imply. Thanks for listening to the Troubled Minds Radio Network.
Welcome back to Troubled Minds, all the places, all the things, yada yada. Troubledminds.org. Click the things, /friends, click the friends link. Come follow all our incredible friends. That's what this is about. It's about networking, it's about community, it's about ideas, it's about philosophical constructs in the modern mind. Tonight I'm calling this Cold Light Rising, the strange afterlife of Angel's Glow. And it goes back to this Civil War story of the Battle at Shiloh. Why some wounded Civil War soldiers actually glowed in the dark and lived because of it. Like we've been talking about here. Welcome back, Jen. There's maybe a few different ways to look at this. And like I said, my apologies for not taking the sort of the local folklore as seriously as I should have, because again, you know, my mass media mind space is like, come on, this is nonsense, guys, because of where it came from. But Ricky called in and was like, hey, no, I heard this from my grandma when I was little, and she lives there.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, okay, all right.
Many of the...
Go ahead, welcome back.
Yeah, there are stories of everyone, you know, there are stories in my family going back to the Revolutionary War. You know, like many people have ancestors, they can go all the way back and say, you know, oh, you're great, this sort of thing, and tell you stories like that. It's going to be around the entire United States. I mean, it was a massive loss of life. Unbelievable. And that's the United States at the time. I mean, we're not going to go into the history of everything, but I think that's very significant as far as like the local folklore of it. But then that the entire towns, streets, roads in certain regions, and realizing that your house and you're walking around where there have been, like in the region I was, like in the neighborhood I was living in, there was a sign there and you just walked around and lived there, but 2,500 people had died there just in that war, just in the Civil War, you know. And that it was the first major battle west of the Mississippi as they were moving westward. But it's just the wounds themselves being visible in the dark, probably. It's really interesting with looking at the aura, like what I was talking about, people studying, and you see the human aura, and you actually see it, and how would you? And the different studies talk about how there are practices that lead you to being able to see it. There are different, you look against the certain color of a wall, you know, and you look at a plant, typically, that's what I was getting at. And you can see the glow off of it. The same with trees at sunset or sunrise, things like that, that they're kind of guiding you to see that. And there is something to it, or at least you begin to see it, but you're not seeing it with your eyes. Hypothetically, you're seeing it with some sort of something inside of your mind's eye. So you're seeing it that way. But it looks visual to you. I imagine it's not much different than people who, I don't know if it's, you know, I don't really want to go into what the mechanisms would be of why you would see that, but perhaps there is something to the effect of the people at the time that were witnessing this massive casualty of life. And, you know, it's interesting, there's what that war may have even meant, not just at a biological, like seeing it or seeing these glowing wounds, or what the significance of it was, of, you know, that you would see that, but and probably at any time, at any point in history. I was going to mention before we got off the line, I've heard of people have witnessed entire beings that hunt I say hunt, but like the battlefields with the fallen soldiers in many different cultures. There are people witnessed phantoms coming over the fields of the dying, because many times they'd be left out there dying, and there would be creatures seen out there, you know, that were amongst the dying and the dead out in the fields, and they had names for them. Essentially, they were type of wraith, and people would see those things, report those things. Now, you have to remember that, I mean, of course, I mean, obviously they were victims of trauma themselves, but probably, you know, I mean, we can't discount anything that they would report. I mean, this is fairly modern history. It wasn't that long ago. These are just generations behind us, just a few have these stories of seeing these things and hearing things like banshees and things like that and record with that. But I wonder if it has something to do with seeing the biofield. And I want to mention too, when I was, even trying to go into that arena, you run into so much strangeness with the people who are, it can be very off-putting. Like when I was looking into that school and going to go to that school because I believe that it's, it's realistic to believe. And I was young, I was like 19, and I was like, well,
I'd go now. I think it's super cool. Like even sort of the mature mind. I don't think you have to be young and naive to even you consider the possibility. I'd love to see what they're teaching right now. So don't feel silly about that at all. I think it's incredible today, right now.
But I ran into a lot of, I dare say it was it draws a lot of strange people, and there's a perversion of the system, if I dare say, like that, where you're like, I don't know if that's, in massage therapy, for example, you have to follow certain laws and pass certain things. And in the energy field work, you should be really careful. I mean, there are people that can pass certain, so that's why it's given a bad name, because there is sort of this loose loop. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
But the biofield, I not to carry it on much longer, but if you can see a plant that has recently had part of its a leaf removed, that can be photographed with certain types of photography, and that can be sort of seen on a spectrum, and then even some visionaries can see it with their mind's eye. They can not just see the plant injured, but they can see injury of the organs or things like that. So it's reported in that alternate biofield research. Then maybe these very plain people or very specialized people, we can't really speak to what kind of people were seeing this, but that they had some kind of sight that they did see these wounds of these soldiers glowing. That there was and then would actually even be able to treat it better if they had this kind of sight. And maybe there's still a lot of lore of sort of nanny healing in the culture in these certain regions where there's just old lore that doesn't make any sense, but apparently it helps, and they still implement those things. Like I have, seen this in action where they still implement these sort of, we call them like, it's just, nanny healing, essentially.
It's like
It's really odd, but
Appalachian folk magic.
Yes.
That's still real. That's still real. It's crazy too. So a lot of the holistic stuff where you're like, this is this has been known forever, but there's some stuff out there.
How would that help? But
exactly.
Supposedly it does.
There's some stuff that hasn't been known forever. That's kind of whispered in those nanny circles as you're describing. And I mean, this is good. This is what I was describing with the Ricky stuff too. It's like, hey, I'm never going to call anybody's grandma a liar. They've seen some stuff. And so in that particular case, right? Yeah. Exactly. Which is leads us all back to the glowing wounds and the second sight and all the rest of this. Absolutely fire stuff.
I think it's something like that. Second sight, I think, is what they were seeing. That the individuals could see that, and in addition to just the extreme trauma, but they were the mind was very clear on what was happening. They were not surprised. They'd been coming along a long time. So, but just that they were able to see it. And there's been reports of people having a different type of vision or being able to see that. If you take away everything modern, the world was entirely different. If you just take everything away, and this was the most recent turn of the century individuals who were living at the time, I believe they might have seen with that second sight what was happening. They could see, the actual damage and do something about it much better. They were working with nothing. And maybe the extreme circumstances drove them to have to see to try to save life as best as they could. Do you see what I'm saying? To that effect.
Yeah, I follow you. It also fits into that the pop out Tolboid stuff, the Cold War. We're seeing UFOs as a manifestation of trauma and fear, and imagine that in a battle space where people are literally dying around you, and you have no sleep.
Extreme.
You're exactly like the extreme of extremes, and so that makes a ton of sense to me. Looking at it through a different lens, there, maybe that second sight was a manifestation of such fire stuff.
Yeah. I don't know, but we have to really respect that in our society. We forget it, but it's so recent. How can you? Sorry, I muted, but
That's okay.
It's literally in everything. But yeah, it is. So I don't know.
Great
it's
insight.
Really frightening to imagine.
Yeah, great insight on all that. Because like I said, this is why we talk to each other, because there's going to be stuff I don't see that you guys see. And that's the point. Let's talk to each other. Let's learn things. Let's grow together. And I appreciate it very much. Thanks for staying over past the break and fire stuff. Like you change. Look, Ricky and you changed my mind on this. And that's good. We're supposed to be changing each other's minds in small ways all the time. And it makes us better for it in the end. 100%.
It's right in front of us all the time.
Amen.
Y'all have a great night.
Appreciate the call. You were the best. So thank you. Jenna Missouri, the Arcane Observer. You know where you love her. You know where to find her. troubledminds.org/friends. Very simply, scroll down. She's working on, again, releasing and working on that, the series with the orbs and plasma. Please go check that out. You can find that, of course. Easiest way to do it is search Arcane Observer, of course, on YouTube or troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down just a little bit. Just follow Jennifer right there. Click that. Take you straight to the stuff she's working on. And I appreciate that. Look, like I said, this is the point. Look, I bring a premise, and it's going to be a certain lane because I can't just gobble all the lanes. This is why having smart friends that are interested in these ideas is incredible, because we're going to see some stuff that I can't see, and that's good. James, anything to add? Hang tight, Kramos. 1 second. We'll get to you in just a moment. Anything to add to what James said there? Thank you, Jen. That's right. To what Jen said. Thank you, Jen. James, anything to add? And we'll go to Kramos.
Well, two quick things. I think it is difficult because, in a way, to, for you to know some of the stuff that is known over in Ricky's area, you're not from there. So I think some of this knowledge, it can take a while, if it ever does, to get out to other places, other regions. And so, I think that's amazing that this happened the way it did. You didn't know, and, you found something online, and then you thought maybe it wasn't real or whatever, or they're not accurate. And then, but also with Jen's call, it makes me wonder about just anomalous sightings in general. Are people who can see that energy of injured, whether it's plants or people, are they seeing with some kind of, is there that paranormal sense the same as some kind of energy, biological, like non-paranormal way of seeing things through energy that allows people to have their own experiences with what they think is anomalous, where they see something that they shouldn't be able to see? Like in my very first case, I won't go into the whole thing, but just real quick to say that I saw something across a room in a basement that I shouldn't have seen in any kind of detail, but I saw it in full detail with my low vision that I have. So I'm wondering how closely all of this is connected.
Yeah, very well said. And it kind of really goes back to what Jen said with the second sight as part of it. So you weren't really seeing it with your physical sight. You were seeing it with your mind's eye, which is an entirely different thing. Which again, in that sense of the Carillion photography, or we've all seen when you what is it? What's the light spectrum where you chop a part of a leaf or a plant, and then you can actually photograph the fact that it still recognizes it's there. I'll dig that up and I'll drop the links in the description. But look, I don't know. There's definitely something happening that we cannot quantify for entirely, and that's where these conversations lie. That's the entire point of this, and maybe the second sight as part of it. Whether that's you want to call it that or not. There's that morphic resonance and some of that other stuff that Rupert Sheldrake has talked about. Shout out to Matthew in Colorado for teaching me all about that. It's wild. Hey, it's a wild world we live in, and that's exactly the point. Love to hear your thoughts. We're talking back to the Battle of Shiloh. We're talking this Civil War soldiers with these glowing wounds, bioluminescence. What's going on here? And how weird does it get? That's really the question. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Thank you for being patient, friends. Kramos was taking his dog for a walk and had a thought. What's up, brother? You're on Troubled Minds with Mike and James. How are you tonight? And go right ahead.
Hello, Michael. Hello, James. Do you hear me good?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear. You sound fantastic.
Okay, thank you. Well, I need to say this, Michael, and when I received your email with this topic, I immediately start searching for something similar here in Chile. And I found the case of Corporate Valdez in 1977. It was not similar to the case that you are describing, but it has some points that I think are very interesting because, long story short, in 1977, there was this, I don't know how to say this, army patrol of 15 soldiers, and they saw these lights in the north of Chile next to the border with Peru. And this Corporate Valdez was the chief of that patrol, and when they saw this light, he said, wait here, and Valdez went to the light, where meanwhile everyone on the patrol was waiting. And in that morning, Corporal Armando Valdez stepped forward away from his men to investigate the anomalous light source. He vanished from sight for roughly 50 minutes. Decades later, the case was completely like, long story short, Michael, this guy was, he vanished, he disappeared for 50 minutes. And then when he appeared, he has long beard. His watch was many years after and hours after. So they took this case, and the military sent this guy to the psychiatrist. This year, 1977, was in the middle of the Pinochet dictatorship in Chile, you know? So the weird part is that many investigators from the United States, in fact, came here to Chile to study the case, to investigate, and they found out that after they took this corporate to the psychiatrist, the story was that it was all fake. But this guy, after the psychiatrist, he renounced, he left the army, and he became evangelic pastor. And in that time, many other investigators from the U.S., in fact, came here and made a lot of interviews. I'm going to put the link in the chat, but he told the people in his preaching that he encountered friends, and those friends told him that they will be back again because there's a spiritual warfare. So my point is, I think those stories, mostly when they involve military, are, I don't know if I can say they are distorted, or they take the story and they rip it off. They claim that it's fake, but I loved your show, man, because you bring me these topics and I start searching and studying, and I found out some amazing things in this place. So I know that you have more calls. And to finish my point, when I was reading, and I was when I found this just now, I need to ask you a question, Michael.
Shoot.
What is the process that you experience in order to select a topic, study the topic, and write about it? What is the emotional, psychological, or spiritual process or experience that you have? Because I'm very intrigued about that.
Yeah, it is probably. I mean, like I've got many talents. My ego is fine, but I think probably the most important thing that I have in this space is my sort of ability to sniff a story and something. See that there's multiple layers to something, because the mass media is always dumping this stuff out all the time. I appreciate the question. Thank you for asking that. It's not something I address often, ever, really. But it is one of my like probably deepest talents to be able to kind of look at something and think about it in terms of in multiple layers, multiple levels, and basically chasing the inspiration of what that is. And that's where these conversations come from. And sometimes there's one that's just barking at you. You have to get to it. This is one of those ones that I had to get to, because it just seemed like there was something here that was a little bit deeper. And, Ricky and Jen helped us delve that out, and Daryl and James and everybody else that was calling tonight, and yourself. That's the point, is that I kind of feel like it's, how they do like the divining, like witching for a water well in the desert or something. Like, I kind of feel like I have that talent for like mass media, picking out some of these things that are off the beaten path, interesting, multi-layered, and inspiring. And I've always said this about what I do. I chase the inspiration. And sometimes, look, it's a flop. Sometimes I bring it to you guys and y'all are like, might get this crap out of here. But hey, it was an inspiration in the moment. And maybe, just maybe, I was ahead of the space. Maybe a year from now, it means something really poignant. But that's all. I could wax on forever about it. But I basically, look, I have a whole list of things, and then I try and go trace backwards in the space of the last 6 weeks, and put pieces together, very synchromistic style, like Derek does. And if there's things popping in the zeitgeist that all pique my inspiration in a particular point, we get a Troubled Mind show out of it. So I appreciate you asking. Thank you for that. And then it goes into Claude, and then it goes into sort of a brainstorm process. I have an entire process. But once I have that inspiration, that's the most important part. Everything after that takes about 20 minutes because of AI workflows. But that's the most important part. Sorry, go ahead.
All the respect, let me go a little bit further, because I was thinking and wondering how is the process, because you find this layer and you find many more after. What is the process, or what is your emotion or feelings when you decide to pick that inspiration and build it into a Troubled Minds show? There's something rational or more beyond AI or beyond inspiration. There's something beyond those rational decisions in order for you to decide this is the topic that I'm going to speak, and you start writing about it. That's the most interesting part for me to find out.
No, it's all inspiration. It's all inspiration. All of it. 100% of that.
Go with the flow.
Yes. So if, I've prepared shows a week ago that when it came time to do it, I was not interested anymore. I was just like, I'm over it. Like it was fascinating at the time. Not even kidding you. Like, so many of those have just hit the cutting room floor that were never a Troubled Mind show, because something really interesting happened in a moment that made me throw the other one out and do something else. James can attest. Poor James. Like, I've given him some stuff. Be like, James, this is what's happening Sunday, and he's like, oh, cool. I'll dig into it. And he does all that, and then I changed my mind like Sunday at 6 p.m. because it's all about inspiration. It's all about inspiration, and I'm really sorry about that, James. It's happened several times, but I mean, that's what it's
okay, I guess.
He's backing me up that that's the truth, but that's what it is. If I'm not inspired to talk about it, if I can't riff on it in an interested way, I shouldn't be talking about it. And so it's all inspiration. That's why I'm here.
Well, my friend, I appreciate it. I wish you all the best, and to you always, James. I wish you all the best, and all the people that share this space and learn like me, because every topic that you bring makes me go to search something further, and sometimes I find some things that are related about what is happening to me today. So that was my question, because I think it's not a talent, my friend. I think it's a gift. I think it's indescribable. You cannot describe it, but I think you can build it and you materialize it in this digital space. And I appreciate all your inspiration, because I learn a lot, and I always be grateful for that, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much. You are the best. Cremos in Chile. You know him, you love him. Notables Radio. Please give him a follow. You know where to find him. Search it yourself. Go ahead.
I'm gonna send the links in the chat and in the Discord about these corporate Valdez, because there's a lot of documents that I just found, and if it's not similar, it makes sense about in fact about the place that this situation took place in Chile, in the North Chile. That's a place that it's full with different stories, civilians, but I was using AI to give me the connection of the troubled minds topic of today with something similar in Chile. So I found out about this corporate. So it's amazing, because without being this famous character, like I know many UFO famous character that are saying, "Oh, we discovered this," and they are full spreading fear porn. In fact, you bring this with absolute humble position, inspiration. So thank you for your teaching, my friend, and thank you, everyone. Be well. God bless you.
You as well. Thank you for the call. Thank you for listening. Thanks for caring. And look, thanks for noticing. Like, I know there's a lot of things, I don't know, that may be mercurial about how these ideas come together. It's hard work. It is inspiration. It is, it's practice. All that stuff really comes into play. And I don't know, I've got a whole workflow that I've built. Like, I built a custom workflow. James can attest. He uses some of it. I mean, it's all of the AI, you can have all the AI in the world and all the workflows that can help you make something happen. But if you're not inspired to do the thing, what are you doing? It's what you would call AI slop. And so you see that, like, I have all this AI sort of build in, and the write-ups and all the stuff, and it's really good mostly. But without me being inspired to talk about it, it's just more AI slop. So yeah. Anything to add, James? And we'll wrap this up.
Yeah, great call from Cremos. I like that he asked that question. And also, I want to just say, I think I said so in the chat or somewhere that I forget now, but it was great to hear from Jen. Whenever she calls, I said this in the chat, whenever she calls into a show, usually this one, she shows why I wanted to have her as a co-host in my show. So, but yeah, all these things, it's amazing how, at first when you the topic showed up tonight, I was wondering if what I had, if anything outside of what I said in the beginning, but then Jen came in and brought the sort of the energy aspect of all that to other things, and it clicked into place that, yeah, I wonder how much of this is all connected with energy and us processing energy around us in different ways, and it's appearing in different ways, whether it's visual or through sounds or whatever, that not everyone else always picks up on at the same time. So thank you for having me on, and looking forward to next time.
Whatever comes next, the mystery is real. I don't even know what comes next. Actually, probably it is. And I'm not kidding you. That's why I invoked James there, because I'm not joking that I've set the thing up, done the whole thing, like an unbelievable amount of reading and research, and been like, Sunday comes, I'm like, yep, not into it. We're doing something else. It's very unprofessional.
He's even done that with paranormal stuff, and it's like, oh, cool, awesome, this is me. And then I find out, it's like, oh, Oh, okay.
Yeah, very unprofessional.
All right, Mike. I'm exaggerating. I'm not mad. I just for the bit, so to speak.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
It is very unprofessional of me. But also, by the way, like I said, if I'm not inspired, you guys have seen it. I have literally canceled shows because there was no inspiration. I couldn't find something that inspired me in a moment to talk. Hey, an introvert needs to be inspired. Guys, shout out to all the amazing people that make this show go. Please follow all of them. Go check out the series Jen is doing, by the way, on, again, the plasma. And notice how all this comes together. All this comes together in an amazing way with not just me, with James, with everybody else as part of the larger conversation, the context of the conversation, and the zeitgeist at large. There are things happening that are surely marketing, but there's also a synchronistic aspect to this that you can't plan. You just can't plan this stuff. It's happening. TroubledMinds.org/friends. Scroll down a little bit. Again, follow Jen, follow James. It's all alphabetical. SalcedoParanormal.com. Of course, this is where you find James and Jen's the co-hosts there on Saturdays. Look, that's what this is about. It's about ideas. It's about people. It's about looking at the world differently and recognizing what happened tonight. We just live in different areas of the world, right? We have sort of a common mind space. We don't all agree on everything because that would be weird and ridiculous. But just living somewhere a little bit different actually makes for an entirely different aspect of looking at the world, which we discuss. You see? It's incredible. I hope to get Eric on at some point. Shout out Eric, living in Ohio by those serpent mouths. Well, we'll do that at some point. Look, there's so much happening in the world we live in. Don't forget, and I say this a lot, I've said it a lot recently, and it's why I've been doing some lore stuff in southern Nevada, because look, I live here. I see these places. I drive by them. I go to them. Sometimes I'm paid to go to them. It's ridiculous. And we're wasting that if we don't actually kind of give our slice of the world to the rest of the world at large and discuss. Okay? Don't forget, there's going to be some amazing things in the local history of where you live. You personally, out there, whoever's out there listening. If you want to help us help our friends, TroubledMinds.org/friends. If you want to help us directly spread the word, let people know a conversation's happening where we're not going to tell you who to vote for. Every conversation does not devolve into politics or the narratives they want us to consider. You heard it here. The lightning rod of these conversations is the inspiration I get from the muses in the moment. I do have a big list of a ton of things. But also, if I'm not inspired, I have a hard time being here. You got it? And you guys inspire me a great deal. I appreciate that. If you want to help us, again, troubledfans.com. Thank you to Sweets and all the mods out there. Shout out Gordo. The Gordo sighting is official. It's real. And thank you for pinning all the places and all the things, all the mods. Look, I don't know. I don't know what I would do tomorrow if all the inspiration ran out. It's a terrifying thought. Let's keep thinking. Let's keep dreaming. Let's keep wondering about things that should drive us to go down rabbit holes and learn about things that we never considered. That's it. As we finish, it goes exactly like this. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night.